Welcome to the Chapters and Chai Book Club.
I'm Amanda.
And I'm Francesca, and we're two sisters that absolutely love reading, but our book taste is quite different.
So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's turn some pages together. This is our book club episode for the month of February.
Yes.
So we are today reviewing the 3 books that we mentioned in the previous book club video, which are The Silent Patient,
The
Nightingale, and Once Upon a Broken Heart.
That's right.
But first, let's not forget our drinks.
Yes.
So for today, we made yet another matcha.
Surprise, surprise.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers. Let's try it. It's a bit lumpy.
Okay.
But it tastes good.
But is it better now? It's greener, yours.
It's greener. Yeah.
I put a bit more matcha powder in yours than mine.
Yeah. No, it tastes very good. I really love it.
Okay.
And to celebrate February, the month of love.
The month of love.
Hence the pink. We decided to do a little cookie taste testing.
So exciting.
I'm like, my mouth is drooling right now.
Yes, so we have a lemon and poppy seed. We have a confetti cookie, just a standard chocolate chip, and a blueberry white chocolate cookie.
Delicious, right?
So let's try.
Which one do we start with?
Let's start with the confetti because I'm the least excited for that.
I think it's just a basic vanilla cookie with some confetti on top.
Oh, it has something in it.
It does?
Yeah, something white, no?
Oh yeah, it does. Okay.
All right.
Let's do this. It's actually way better than I thought.
The cream cheese is really nice. Yum.
You don't seem as excited.
Look, I wouldn't order it again. It's not my style of a cookie, but it's really good.
It just tastes like a cake, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so what should we do next? The blueberry one.
Let's do the blueberry.
Okay, cheers. This is so good. Wow.
You know what? This is like a blueberry muffin, but in a cookie form. So good.
The sugary crust on top. To die for. Okay, I think the lemon one will be a bit similar, so maybe we should try the chocolate now.
I don't know if you can see, but the chocolate is melted. Yummy goodness.
Yeah.
It's gonna make a mess though.
Why is chocolate so good? And then the lemon.
The lemon, which I think will be my favorite.
You think? So, what was your least favorite?
So my least favorite was the confetti cookie. I think it's still really good. It tastes like cake. It just didn't hit the spot in the same way as the other ones.
Right. For me, my least favorite... I'm between the confetti cookie and the blueberry one.
The blueberry one.
Yeah, I don't know why. Let me try it again. No, the blueberry is very good. But I liked the confetti was very sweet and I enjoyed that. Whereas the blueberry one did not seem as sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, but the blueberry as last.
I'm shocked by that. Okay.
I did not expect it. The blueberry was my choice. Also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. My number 3 is I think the chocolate chip is really good. It's a good chocolate chip, but if I had to rate them, the chocolate chip goes 3rd.
Right. For me, 3rd goes the confetti cookie.
Okay. Then my second runner-up is the blueberry. I really like it. It tastes like blueberry muffin, and I love blueberries, so...
It was very good, yeah. For me, it's the chocolate chip.
Okay, and then we have the same winner, the lemon poppy
the lemon
seed.
one.
Just so good.
You cannot go wrong with that. With us, at least. We like lemony. lemony sweets.
Yeah.
Delicious. All right, so let's start the actual book club content. So if you're new here, basically we post one video a month, which is the book club video. And our first one was in January. And basically how it works is that we pick a few books that we want to read that month, and we have some questions ready that we add to the description box. And in this video, for instance, we're going to be reviewing those books and also announcing our February's book club books. So the books that we chose was, first of all, The Nightingale, which neither of us had read. And then also we each chose a book for the other one to read. So I chose one of my favorite books and Amanda chose one of her favorite books. And we're going to be going over those as well. So we chose Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber and The Silent Patient by Alex Michailidis.
We'll be going through the questions that we had added to the description box in the previous book club video, but we want this to be like an actual book club. So if any of you listening did join along, or if you read any of these books, we would love for you to add your thoughts in the comments down below and add your answers to the questions so we can go and see what everybody thought about the books that we had picked.
Yeah, so you can find the questions in our previous book club video, in case you don't know where to find them.
And by the way, these book club review videos, this one included, will have spoilers for all 3 books. So if you haven't read any of these and you don't want to know what happens, then we would recommend that you don't watch the video, because we are going to go into the details of the plot and the ending of the books. So you have been warned.
Yes. Okay, so...
So do you want to start with The Nightingale? That's the first book that we both read together.
Okay, yes.
So that would be The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna.
And whoever wants to read this book, I would highly recommend that you check the trigger warnings beforehand, just because it is discussing some themes that are not good for everyone.
Okay. Right, so what is The Nightingale about?
The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna is a historical fiction novel set in Nazi-occupied France during World War II. It tells the story of 2 sisters, Vianne and Isabelle Mauriac, whose lives are shaped by the war in different ways. So firstly, it follows Vianne, the eldest sister, who is staying in a rural village, struggling to protect her daughter while enduring the presence of a Nazi officer billeted in her home. She faces moral dilemmas and risks everything to help Jewish children escape persecution, because also her best friend was Jewish and she is really trying to help her best friend's children, and therefore she started helping all the Jewish children. Then the other sister, Isabelle, who is very bold and rebellious, joins the French resistance and becomes the Nightingale, a courier who helps downed Allied pilots escape across Pyrenees to Spain. Her bravery and determination contrast with Vianne's quieter but equally courageous efforts to resist the Nazis. So yeah, it follows the lives of those 2 sisters during the war, and it's a very heartbreaking but also beautiful story about World War II, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we want to start off by going through the questions, the book club questions, and then after that we can kind of give our thoughts on the story and how we liked it.
Yes, and we will be rating the books at the end.
Yes, sounds good. So the first question was, who was your favorite character in the book and why? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. Okay, so my favorite character was Vianne. I think her story arc in general was very strong and I really related with her, which this kind of ties in with another book club question, but I really related with her and her way of thinking, and I just kept, because the book changes the POV all the time, basically. I kept hoping to get Vianne's POV and her story. I don't know why exactly, but I just enjoyed it more, and I liked her character more, I would say. Not that I didn't like Isabelle, I really loved Isabelle as well, but I think Vianne was closer to my heart.
Okay. My favorite character was Isabelle. The reason why, and I'm reading from my notes because I don't want to forget anything, but for me, just the way that she was not afraid to fight from the very beginning for what was right. And she was really risking her life to help others. And
she was fierce.
Yeah, she was really fierce. I think, and again, going into one of the questions we'll talk about in a bit, but the way she reacted from the very beginning is something that I wouldn't do. I think I wouldn't be that brave, especially at the very start of the war. So reading about her perspective and how she from the very beginning wanted to actually do something about this situation, and she was refusing to accept the war and what was going on, was really interesting to read about. And in general, she was just so brave, and reading about her journey through the Pyrenees Mountains, and especially once I found out that she's actually based on a true person.
That I didn't know. You need to go into more detail about that.
Wait, I had taken notes. What I found out is that the character of Isabel is based on a real person. Let me read you a little bit because I found it so interesting. I will butcher this name, but she was based on a Belgian girl that was only 24 years old, which is insane to me. I'm 30, and it's just insane. A 24-year-old called Andre de Jong, who was a Belgian girl, I said, who helped aviators and others to escape through an escape route over the Pyrenees during
insane.
World War II. That route was called Comet, and she personally escorted many airmen over the Pyrenees on foot. By the end of the war, she had aided 118 airmen, and she was captured late in the war and sent to the Ravensbrück concentration camp, as Isabel was, but she did not get executed. Because they couldn't believe that a girl that age would have actually organized such a route. So
that's what they said in the book as well.
Yeah, which is insane. And then she got released, and she did get really ill, as Isabel did, but she did end up surviving, and she lived until 90 years of age. And I just thought that was crazy to think, because reading this book, Isabel is such a brave character, but to actually think that somebody actually did that in real life is just remarkable.
I would never have the courage. I mean, obviously, you never know how you would actually
react.
In a situation like that, but I don't think I would have the courage to do that.
And at that age, not only you're not only putting your life at risk of getting executed by the Nazis, but just the act alone, even if there was no impending punishment, trekking by foot over the Pyrenees during winters, doing it that many times, it's no small task. No small task.
No.
But when I went down the rabbit hole of reading about Isabel and who she was based on, I was interested to see if Vianne was also based on a character. And she's not based on any singular character. However, she was based on, there were many women during World War II that were indeed hiding Jewish babies and doing what Vianne did, where she was protecting them from the Nazis. So that did happen, and she's kind of based on those women. So that's really interesting. And it's interesting because it does say it in the book, I think, also, but a lot of the stories of the heroes of World War II are told by men, and coincidentally, there are not many stories of women told, but there were heroes that were women as well during the wars, so it's really interesting to learn about these people.
Okay, next question is, which character did I relate with? Vianne. So Vianne was very scared from the beginning.
Yeah.
Denial was her second name. I feel like she did not want to accept what was going on, and she was scared, and she kept kind of thinking that the war will just pass and everything will be fine. She was the complete opposite of Isabel, basically, in the beginning of the book especially. So my first reaction when I was reading about her character was that she truly is just in denial and she's not taking this war seriously. However, as we went more into the book, you understand that she's actually just so scared for her daughter.
Yeah.
And I felt so bad for her. She was so scared that Isabel would expose them to the Nazi that was billeted in their house. She was scared of getting into trouble. She was all of this just to protect her child. And not that I have a child, but I could feel that fear. I think in her shoes, I would probably be the same way. And I would be like, let me not stick out of the crowd, because these Nazis are just going around and killing people and imprisoning them for practically nothing. So, I don't know, I just felt for her there. I did love her character development so much, because she really went from 0 to 100. She became so brave throughout the years of the war, and I don't know, I just love that, but we're gonna go over that more in the character development question.
So I also related to Vianne more out of the characters for the same reasons as you. I think the way she reacted to the war by being a rule follower to try and not stick out from the crowd is something that I could see myself doing. I think she was really prioritizing her family's safety, which makes sense. And also being recently married, I was kind of putting myself in her shoes, and kind of that day-to-day fear of whether your husband's going to come back home, and also having to all of a sudden live without a husband just really hit a specific spot in my heart. I think it must have been so difficult for these women to have such a drastic change in their life of having, you know, your family and your protector there, and then one day they're not, and then you don't know if they're going to come back home, and they're gone for years.
And if you also think about the time, because in today's world, obviously women work, women can take care of themselves, but back then most women were staying home with their kids, and they truly had the husband come and take care of them financially and also protect them in general. To lose that and be completely on your own while also being in the middle of a war, how scary must that be?
So scary. I can't even imagine. But it's funny because when I was reading this book, I saw myself as Vianne, because I am more of a, let's say, rule follower, more, I don't know, trying to please everyone, keep things mellowed out. And I imagined you as Isabel, because you've always been more of the rebel out of the two of us.
Yeah, I thought that's how I imagined us as well.
Oh, really?
I was like, I'm clearly a bit more like Isabel.
Yeah, she's the Isabel out of us too, so that's funny.
Yes. Well, I'm happy to hear that she was your favorite character then.
Yeah, and yours was Vianne. Yeah, so
makes sense. Okay, then let's talk about character growth and change, all that.
I guess starting with Vianne, she I think had more of a drastic character development than Isabel, at least in my point of view. She, as we've already said, she started as this sort of passive rule follower, trying to kind of continue her daily routine as it is, and in a way ignore and, like you said, deny what was happening around her. And as the story goes and she starts kind of really understanding and realizing what is going on, especially once the Jewish start being taken away to the camps, she does grow into wanting to make an impact and help as much as she can, even if it means putting her own life on the line. So by the end of the book, she is actually then taking action steps to try and help these Jewish kids by hiding them. So she does grow in that way, and her willingness to really want to resist the Nazis does grow as the book goes on. Did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so basically Vianne comes across as this super fragile woman who I thought the whole book, I thought that she really protects her heart by like using denial. And I mean, this woman has been broken through losing her mother, then technically losing her father as well, because she knew how their father was before the war, and then she experienced seeing her father kind of just being a shell of a human after the war, and then having a miscarriage. She had a very difficult life up until now. So the way she's handling it is that she's not accepting that something is going wrong, that there is another war, and that she might lose her husband because of it. I think the moment when, she, as you said, she lost Rachel, was a wake-up call to her that wait, like, bad things are happening and this war is so much bigger. Her actions are so much bigger than just protecting her and her child. Like, her actions can actually affect so many more people. So she takes action and she starts helping the Jewish children, even with the crazy Nazi at her house.
Yeah.
Like, she took a huge risk. And the way she handled also him treating her very, very extremely badly. She was so strong. She was so strong of a woman, and I really loved her character. Like, I think she was...
Yeah.
She starts so fragile in the beginning and she becomes the strongest woman, truly.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so now let's go and talk about Isabel's character development. It's not that I didn't like her in the beginning, but I think she was being, first of all, a bit naive. She really had this fire in her. She wanted to be brave and she wanted to be a war hero and she wanted to help people. But she was not smart about it. She was not careful. She did endanger Vianne and Sophie a few times, not being careful about what she was saying in front of the Nazis, not being careful enough out on the streets, not keeping her voice quiet. And I get that rebellious, like, that rebellion inside of her.
Yeah.
But she was not being smart about it. And I wanted to really shake her and be like, Isabel, you need to be smart about this. You need to be careful, because this is not some small things. Like, how will you feel if worst comes to worst and they come and they kill Sophie, for instance?
Yeah.
You don't want that. So...
Yeah, she was way more reckless. But I think it showed her age as well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Because she was, what, 19?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was very young. So, obviously, I understand that. However, you see throughout the book how she matures, and she probably matures way faster than she's supposed to because of the war and because of the things that she does. But by the end of it, I don't know, she's just so much more strong, not naive anymore, and I thought she had a very beautiful character development as well, and she actually becomes a great war hero and she does amazing things. So,
yeah, exactly.
I like seeing that.
Yeah. And I have to mention their dad. If you read the book,
don't cry.
That broke me.
Yeah.
That broke me, the dad. But yeah, I have to mention, because he did also go through some character development from, he went through a lot through World War One, obviously, and we hear about how he changed as a father and a husband due to the war, and that leads him to being kind of a more distant father to Vianne and Isabel. And throughout the book, he comes across quite cold and not very loving, not caring. But then around the end of the book, he does end up stepping up and taking blame for being the Nightingale so that Isabel does not get executed. And
my heart shattered.
What an act of bravery and love. But I wish he did not have to do that. I was so sad.
What made me so sad was that both of these girls really wanted to have a father. Vianne knew how he was before the war. Isabel never got to really know him how he used to be. And once where they kind of have this moment of connection, especially Isabel, when she finds out that he is actually a part of the rebellion, I'm so sad that they didn't get to spend more time with him at that point.
Yeah.
Like, Isabel finally finds out that, no, my father actually does care and he actually does love me. And then she loses him. That is making me tear up right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying not to think about it too much, but I'll start crying. Yeah. It was so sad.
It was heartbreaking. Sad. It was heartbreaking. But I've noted down chapter 16. I wrote, I think the dad is part of the rebellion. I don't remember what it was, but
really?
I kind of expected it from the...
Okay, so you called it.
Yes, I did.
So, moving on, question 4. So, who should we give, or who would we want to give advice to, and what that advice would be? I would have definitely, because I was thinking, there was a lot of things I wanted to tell them, but the number one thing, I was like, Vianne, please do not give the names of your colleagues to Captain Beck. do not give the names of the Jewish colleagues.
Yeah.
If that was the one thing I wish I could have gone and told her, because the moment when that happened in the book, obviously at that point during the events, they don't know. The characters, they did not know what was about to conspire and happen with these scams, but I knew.
You could never imagine, like, had that not, they hadn't seen that before, so it probably did not cross her mind in a million years, the things that they would actually do to these people.
Having obviously knowing history and what actually happens, it was just so heartbreaking to see those steps of how it all led to the camps in the end, and the fact that then Vianne did end up losing her best friend Rachel in the camps, and she was the one that gave her name to the Nazis. It was just so sad, and honestly there's no words to even talk about this subject. It's truly a horrendous thing that happened in history, and that's something that kept hitting me reading this book, is that these things happened. It's
insane.
It's not just a fictional story, it's something.
And it's recent also.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the 1700s.
Yeah.
It was like 100 years ago.
Yeah. It's honestly, there's no words. It's horrible. And reading about it, it just hit different.
It's different to read about it in history books, I think, and different to actually kind of follow stories from people.
Yeah.
Obviously, Vianne was fictional, but again, she was representing so many real women. So I think it really opened my eyes to what people were going through. Like, it's insane.
It sort of humanized, or it made it more real, like you said, because it's different reading the facts of it in a history book, as you said, and different following like an actual person, her day-to-day,
relating with them,
who her friends were, what she was doing, what her fears were, and kind of reading that and putting yourself in that character's shoes, it just gave a completely different perspective to what actually happened. Did you have advice?
Yeah, my advice would have been for the sisters really to stick together, stop bickering. Like, there were so many atrocious things going on, and they had moments where they were just butting heads and not really supporting each other.
Yeah.
And I would have wanted to tell them, like, girls, please.
Yeah.
Stick together, be each other's strength, trust each other. And because family is really all you have left in a situation like this, so
that's
really
true.
hold on to that. Okay, next question is, which was the most satisfying or unsatisfying part of the book?
My most satisfying part was when Isabel completed the trek through the Pyrenees Mountains the first time, just because it was really described in detail, kind of the steps of getting through the mountain range and all the difficulties of that, and the fear of getting captured. So when she did finally get through it, and then when we find out that she did it successfully multiple times, I found that really satisfying.
Yeah, when she was like the Nightingale has sung.
Yeah, I love that moment. I was like, yes, she did it. The most disappointing part for me were all the deaths in the book. Obviously, it's a story about war, and death was expected. That's what happened. By reading about it, like the death of the father, the death of Isabel, I was so upset and just disappointed in general. What about you?
So most satisfying part for me was when the Germans left. I could breathe at that moment. I cannot imagine how the French were feeling at that moment. Seeing the Germans leave her village must have felt so, just, what's the word, like something that's so unreal. So that was very satisfactory. And I was reading it, I was like, are they really gone?
Yeah.
So that was a good moment. And then the most unsatisfying part, when Isabel died. I did not want that. And now you're telling me that the real life character did not die, so why kill her?
Why? That's what I thought.
We had cried enough.
Yeah, like we did not need that. I was already at that point, like I thought I had cried all the tears that I had left in me, and then that was like the final blow.
No, that was one of those things I was like, was that necessary?
Yeah.
It's not like, I understand when authors do that to kind of add some emotion to the book or some shock value, but this book had emotion and shock value. Yeah, the next question ties in. It's, did I want more? Yes, I wanted more of Isabel. I wanted to see her life grow after the war and see her happy with Guiton.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see Vianne find her way with her husband and her kids. I wanted to see Ari, is that how the name is? Ari. Ari and Vianne reunite.
I think, the last 30 minutes of the book was, I listened to it on Audible, which, by the way, I would recommend the audiobook. I thought the narrator did a great job.
Polly Stone, by the way, was the narrator. She was amazing.
She was really good. So I was listening to it. I was cleaning the house, and it was about the last 30 minutes. And I kid you not, I did not stop crying those last 30 minutes. I must have looked like a crazy person if somebody saw me through the window cleaning, and not just little tears. I was ugly crying the whole 30 minutes. At one point I had to sit down because I could not handle it. And it was just like one thing after another, blow after blow. I know it couldn't have necessarily had a happier ending because it is important to show the true loss of the war and what was going on. That is important. But I do agree that I would have loved to have a bit more of a happier ending, to see, at least for Vianne, that did grow older, that kind of see how her life went from there. Because also what we know about her is that she's battling cancer at the old age, and she had lost most of her family. So it was sad.
It was sad.
I could have had a bit of a pick-me-up at that point when I had been...
Also, her losing her daughter to cancer, losing her husband, all that made me very sad. I don't know. I feel like I wish I had seen at least, or read more about her life after the war and how she was, and when they finally got to be a family together and enjoy their lives a little bit. Isabel dying right when she got reunited with Gaëtan was so sad as well. Like, they didn't even get to have a day together. It was right there. They're reunited. Finally. You say finally. He came and he found her. And she literally dies there in his hands, which, the way it's written in the book, she feels peaceful and happy. She's finally in his arms. But it's just, I don't know, such a sad ending. Now, to say just about the writing, the plot, the character development, pacing, setting, feels and vibes, and eventually our rating. So writing, I think it was super easy and smooth and very clear to read and to listen. The plot, I think we covered. The character development, I think we covered. The pacing, again, I think the pacing was excellent. I enjoyed every bit. I did not get bored at all. It really had something going on all the time. It did not get boring for me.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, okay, so fast. Excellent pacing. The setting, again, okay, the setting was described very well, and I kept imagining everything, every detail, and I could really picture this book at all times. So I think the setting was, explained very, very well. Then for the feels and vibes, I mean, sad and stressful.
Yeah, this isn't a vibey book. If you're looking for a cozy read, this is not it.
No, that's a bit more serious. Yeah. I so genuinely cared for every single character, though, and you definitely feel things when you read this book.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a very emotional book. So
okay, shall we quickly say our rating?
I rated this book 4 stars. 4 stars. It is an excellent book. It's an excellent book. However, I did not give it 5 stars because I can't say that I was 100% enjoying it. I think maybe because it is so heavy in the subject matter. For me to give 5 stars, I need to really want to continuously pick up the book. And in this case, I was having a harder time at points to want to pick up the book because it is a more depressing, heavy read.
For me, it was a 5-star read. I absolutely love this book. It really touched my heart, and I could not stop listening to it. I could not stop. I was brushing my teeth, listening. walking, taking the trash out, listening, cleaning my house, listening. I could not stop. So yeah, it was a 5-star read for me. Yes.
Okay.
Next book is The Silent Patient by Alex Michailidis.
That was my pick for Francesca, so I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
Okay, so this book is about a woman who seems like a happy, successful artist, and she seems like she's in a happy marriage with her husband Gabriel, and all of a sudden she kills her husband and goes completely silent. She's admitted to a psychiatric clinic, and basically the narrator of this book is a psychotherapist, Theo, who is assigned, Alicia is the name of the woman, and he's assigned Alicia, and he basically tries to get her to talk again and find out what happened to her and why she is silent. At the same time, we follow Theo's story with his girlfriend, and he finds out that his girlfriend is actually cheating on him. So he follows his girlfriend secretly to find out who she's cheating on him with, and he eventually finds out, and then he starts following this other man. So there's a big twist at the end, and yeah, I'm gonna go over that twist in the questions. So the first question is, was I surprised by the ending? So I guess I'm gonna go to the ending after all. Basically, so what we discover about Alicia is she was keeping a diary, and we kind of get her diary entries in between the chapters. And we find out that before the months coming up to the death of her husband, the murder of her husband, she actually feels like she's being followed and watched by someone. Turns out that it was this stranger who was following her and watching her, who then went into her house, broke in, tied her up, then tied Gabriel, the husband, up as well, and left Alicia basically with a gun. I know that doesn't make sense right now, but okay, so so while we're reading about this in the diary, and we're also getting Theo's perspective from his own life, we understand that actually Theo finds out that her girlfriend is cheating on him. So he follows the boy, the man who is sleeping with his girlfriend. Through that, he starts following the woman who is actually married to the man who is sleeping with his girlfriend, who is Alicia. So actually the man that has been following and watching Alicia is Theo. So the POV that we're getting from Theo's personal life is in the past. It's before the murder.
Yeah, I think the main twist, at least for me when I read the book, is understanding that Theo's POV of following this man is not happening in the present, but it actually was happening in the past.
Yeah.
Because while you're reading it, you think that's happening in the present during the time that when Alicia is already in the clinic.
Yeah.
But actually it's happening in the past, and he is the man that Alicia was writing in her diaries about.
Yeah. Which, when I read that, I was so shocked. I had no idea.
So shocked. I had no idea. Wow, I got excited. I'm pretty good at, I don't know, I feel like when you read one of these thriller books, especially if you've read a lot of them, or if you watch, shows like these, you often think of every single scenario. At least I do. I'm like, oh, it could be that, oh, it could be him, oh, it could be him, for whoever the murderer is. And then by the time the twist happens, you've already kind of guessed it at some point. But here I just had not guessed it.
Yeah.
Because of the twist in the timelines. That's not something I suspected.
Yeah, true. I did not understand that also. I thought it was weird that we were getting this POV where he was all of a sudden very murderous in his thoughts, and I was like, whoa, this man should not be a psychotherapist. He should actually maybe get some help for the way he was thinking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it turns out he was actually the one who then tied Alicia up, and his plan was, I guess, to show Alicia that her husband is cheating on her, but then it got out of hand because then he basically left Alicia with a gun, and then Alicia ends up killing her husband because the reason was a bit confusing, I guess, that with the ending, because she did not kill her husband because she found out about the affair. I don't think she found out about the affair. in the end. I thought that either someone from the clinic had done like something to do with that,
Yeah.
or that Gabriel was maybe not dead, and it was some weird game that had to do with the Greek mythology that was going on in the book. But no, it was her in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, I was definitely surprised by the ending. How was the mystery introduced? I think it was pretty upfront. Like, the book starts with basically saying how this woman killed her husband and then went silent, so it was pretty upfront.
Yeah, it kind of starts straight away. Yeah.
Then how did the author build suspense? So I thought this was a good question. I don't think this book had like I'm on the edge of my seat type of suspense. I really wanted to find out what happened, and it was weird things were going on, but I didn't get that like nervous, oh no, like will they find out, will they not? I didn't get that. But there was suspense in the sense of there were weird things happening, like the painting she made right after killing her husband was very odd. The way she was also behaving at the clinic, her not talking, her getting these aggressive moments where she was attacking other patients and getting very mad, and when she attacked Theo in the very beginning also, I was like, why? This makes no sense. So I think the suspense came for me from that.
For me, I think it was the having the diary entries and then having Theo go and kind of interview or talk to the relatives of Alicia, trying to figure out why she's not talking. I think the mystery in itself, the fact that she wasn't talking, was interesting enough that in itself brought me the suspense.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like any other murder mystery where somebody dies and we're trying to figure out who killed the person. This one had a lot of like random weird things happening, so that was what was keeping me interested and intrigued to see how this all will tie in together at the end.
Yeah, it was interesting. Then the next question is, did the clues make sense? They actually did. Because something that I kept thinking throughout the book, because in my mind I was like, there's no way Alicia is actually the murderer. There's probably going to be some twist like that. So what was weird for me was the way Theo kept thinking about her. Because although he was interviewing all these people to find out what happened, not once did he say that I believe Alicia didn't murder him or anything like that. And I kept thinking, that's weird. Why is he not questioning this? Or why is it not written in the book? And obviously it makes sense because he knew what happened.
Yeah.
So it did make sense. I did not have one moment of like, does that make sense? Do I need to go back and check that? So no plot holes here. And did the ending make sense? Yes, the ending did make sense. So I had some thoughts about the ending.
Tell me.
Yes. I did not understand why Theo was so obsessed with Alicia. Why he did everything in his power to get her talking, and then he tries to kill her. I did not understand that. I understood that he kind of wanted to find out what happened with Alicia, to understand why she then ended up killing Gabriel, because Theo did not anticipate Alicia would actually kill Gabriel.
Yeah.
He kind of just wanted to have this, I don't know, shock them a bit. But I did not understand. He was taking a risk of her recognizing him that whole time, yet he kept going. He kept pushing her to talk. He kept trying to help her. And the moment he understands that she actually recognized him, he tries and he actually kills her, like tries to kill her. So that I did not understand, like why did that happen? And he clearly had murderous thoughts, and he clearly crossed some big boundaries by going in her house and tying her up and doing all those things. But up until then, he hadn't actually murdered. He hadn't crossed the line of murdering someone. So how did he then... For him to try to kill Alicia was a bit random to me, I guess. Yes, and tying like something connected to that also, when Theo tried to kill Alicia, everybody thought that she tried to basically harm herself. And then he goes out of his way to try and pin it on Christian, the other psychotherapist. Since he had done it, why not just let everyone think that it was Alicia who tried to do that and not Christian? Why go out of his way and try and pin it on Christian? and show them the way also the murder happened. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's true. I think, didn't he had some vendetta with Christian?
He did.
And clearly Theo is not in the most stable of minds, so maybe he was just trying to get some.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, he
Revenge.
opened up the investigation,
Yeah.
which then he got caught, obviously, very quickly and good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think his character was he didn't make sense. He wasn't very likable. But other than that, I really, really loved the book. I think the writing was super easy again, very smooth. I listened to it as well. So very easy to listen to. It was narrated by Louise Brayley and Jack Hawkins. And yeah, character development, I don't think it really had much of character development given that it was a mystery. The setting was actually quite nice. I was imagining this like rainy, moody England,
I remember
brick
that.
buildings. Yeah, it was a nice read for winter. And the pacing was good. I had a hard time in the very beginning to get into it because I feel like there was not much happening. Like, Theo kept going to Alicia and Alicia would just stay silent. That was it. I was like, is she gonna talk this time?
It does take a little bit of time to get into the story.
But I think the last 2/3 of the book where the pacing it picked up. The feels and vibes, it had a good plot twist. I enjoyed the book. I really enjoyed the book. And yeah, I'd say rating.
Okay.
4.5.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good for a mystery, because it's true. A lot of mysteries do have plot holes.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are they're quite similar. A lot of them mesh into one in my mind when I think of the mysteries I've read. This one really sticks out because I felt that it was unique. The twist is unique. It's one of those books that I feel like if I reread it now, it would be interesting to reread, knowing what happens and seeing how everything goes in the book. I don't know. It's different. It's different. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Obviously, it's one of my favorite books. Okay, perfect. And the final book is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber.
I'm so excited. I love this book.
Yeah, this is one of Francesca's favorites. And I actually read the physical book for this one, so I did not listen to it on Audible. But yeah, synopsis. It follows Evangeline, who gets her heart broken by her boyfriend. I wasn't really sure if they were a situationship, let's say.
I would say it's a situationship, definitely.
A situationship. Yeah, the situationship. Luke is about to marry Evangeline's stepsister, which scandalous, I have to say. I did not. Anyway, I was like, what's going on? So what Evangeline does is she goes to a fate, the Prince of Hearts, named Jax, and asks him for a favor to stop this wedding, and he agrees only if she gives... No, how would you word that?
She owes him 3 kisses, but not literally to him, to kiss him.
To kiss whoever he says she has to kiss. So that's sort of the synopsis. And then from then on, it just follows Evangeline. She goes to the north, which is this other kingdom, I guess. And there she, through some series of events, she ends up marrying a prince, Apollo, that then gets murdered. And Evangeline is pinned for that murder, so she has to go into hiding. And this is all happening with kind of Jax also asking her to kiss other people. And yeah, it's first in a trilogy. Our battery did die just now, so I don't remember exactly where I left off. I think I was just saying that the book is first in the trilogy, so we did not go too much into what exactly Jax wants from Evangeline or how those things are going to transpire in the rest of the trilogy. So I think that's sort of the synopsis, but I'll go more into detail on the plot and my thoughts now with the questions. First question is, how does the author create the fantasy world in general with descriptions, maps, things like that? So this book does come with a map right at the beginning.
Very cool.
Over here which is super cute. A lot of castles, mountains. What are the mermaids for? I wonder if those are going to play down later in the books, because this book did not mention mermaids. Cute map. I don't know how it compares to other fantasy maps, but
Yeah, I mean, the ones that I've read, usually they have like a map of the world,
a
basically.
bit more detailed.
Not ones where you see the houses and everything, but where you see the continent.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I like it. The map is cool. But the real way that this book really gets you into the world is through the descriptions. So very descriptive in the weather, this like winter wonderland that is the magnificent north. It talks a lot about the fashion of the place, which really kind of helps you picture the people there, and it has some great descriptions of the dresses that they wear, these sparkly beautiful princess dresses. Also a lot of descriptions of the food and desserts in particular that I really enjoyed reading about. All the foods were also sparkly and very sugary, and just they sounded yummy, and a lot of warm drinks.
That was probably the sparkle, the sugar.
Yeah, true. But I really loved reading about those things. So yeah, the fashion, the food, the little creatures, these little dragons, things like that all was very immersive and helped build this world in my mind. Now for the second question, it asks about whether the main characters had any special abilities and if I would like to have those abilities. So the main character, Evangeline, does have the ability to open any door with her blood. However, it does not really explain much about why she has this ability, and it does not get revealed until maybe after the halfway point. So it's not a big plot point in this book, but I'm assuming it's going to play into the stories of the rest of the trilogy. And as an ability, it's not something I'm too interested about. It's it's okay. I don't need to be opening any locked doors at the moment. So but I'm sure it's an important ability later down in the story. And then of course some of the other characters in the book, especially Jax, who's a fate, he does have the ability to sort of influence people's emotions and actions, which again isn't used all that much in this book. It's something that again it's really used maybe at the end of the book, which again, not an ability that I'm too interested in, but it's cool. And then the other question kind of connected to this is whether there was a magic system and how that was explained. There is magic, but it reminded me a lot of Disney movies, and that's also why I liked it, because it felt nostalgic in that sense, that it was very Disney-esque, or like Barbie and the Nutcracker is what I kept thinking about a lot. But the magic is more on the background. It's sort of these random magical acts of people rather than an actual magic system. It did not feel like the magic was a main character in the book compared to, I'm assuming, some other fantasy series.
For sure, yeah.
Then when it comes to question 4, which was if there were any other creatures or races in the book and how their history and culture was explored, it does have the fates, such as Jack and Lala, and then it has vampires. Again, it does not go too deep into their culture, or there's there's a little bit of history of what happened to the fates, but not too much. It didn't seem like an important point in this book to really explore the differences of those creatures. I don't know if they're creatures.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does explain a little bit of the differences of those, but it's not like a main point. I did like the dragons, so there's some mentions of little baby dragons,
Yeah,
and they
hitting
sounded
up the apple cider.
yeah, they sounded very cute. So I like, and I wish there was more descriptions of the dragons, because it was just a few, but I really enjoyed that. Then question number 5 is about the setting and how the setting played a role in the story, and the setting was everything in this book. It was everything. I already talked about it, I think, in question 1 about the fantasy world, but it just felt like you stepped into a fairy tale. I kept, again, thinking about some of those fairy tales I read as a child of the princesses in their little kingdoms. And I also loved that it was a wintry kingdom, that it really described the icicles and the sparkling snow and the fashion, and it just felt very, very cozy. I loved it. It was very vibes based, a lot of cozy vibes. So yeah, the setting, I think, was supposed to be a big part of the book, because the author does spend a lot of time describing it. So I think she did what she was supposed to do. It was really nice. I really enjoyed it. I wanted to live in this world. I wanted to just be there. That's how I know I love a book, is when I want to continuously pick it up, because I want to be in that world.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening with this book a lot.
Yeah. I read this book in like 48 hours, less than 48 hours. And it was because of that, because the world was so nice and cozy and welcoming. I just wanted to live there. I wanted to wear these dresses, eat the food, see the dragons, all of it.
It's so cute and so girly. Last question is, who was my favorite character and why? And it does not introduce too many characters. I felt like, apart from the 2 main, Jax and Evangeline, and there's some side characters, but out of those, I love Evangeline as my favorite character. Mainly because she's such a goody two-shoe girl. She always strives to do the right thing, being very ethical in her choices, and even if it means that she's herself going to get harmed, she still chooses to go with the right thing, which is nice. And she's just very selfless. So I enjoyed reading from her point of view. She's also very optimistic and overall just a good person. So that was nice. Compared to Jax, the other character, who's more morally gray, and at least in this book does some questionable things and is not the nicest person. So I preferred Evangeline. But I know the morally gray boyfriend is a thing.
It is. I was head over heels for Jax. I was kicking my feet in the air, just waiting to read more about him. Every time there was a scene with them together, I was just giggling like a silly little girl.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think as a love interest, Jax is fine. I obviously haven't read fantasy that much, but at least in this book, and this book, by the way, even though it is a romantasy, the romance part of it is very slow burn. However, it is a key part of the book or the trilogy is the romance. Nothing happens between them in this book other than maybe some hints of attraction, but that's about it. There's nothing else. And I like that. I like a slow burn in general. And I like that there wasn't like instant love as some books have. So I did enjoy that, but as a love interest, he's a bit too gray for my taste. I like a good person, but I understand that it brings more interest into the story. So those were the questions. Now going into a bit more about the plot and the other parts that we review. I guess a little bit about the plot, some other thoughts I had. So first of all, the story has the character of Marisol, who's the stepsister, and I think it's pretty obvious from very beginning that she's going to turn up to be a villain. At least for me, it felt very obvious that she's going to be a villain. So I don't know if that was supposed to be a twist, but I didn't think it was a twist that she ended up actually being the person that cursed Luke, and then she also put a love curse on Apollo. But I do have hope for her character in the other books to come, that maybe her and Evangeline can have a true sisterly bond. So we'll see if that happens. Another thought I had was that I really liked Apollo as a character. I know he's under a curse for most of the time, so he's maybe not acting himself, but I did enjoy, I don't know, I just enjoyed the interactions between him and Evangeline. I thought he was funny. The moment where he's oiling his chest and dancing to try and get Evangeline's attention, I found that personally really funny.
I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah, but it's supposed to make you uncomfortable. I found it really funny. obviously then he all of a sudden dies. I did not expect that. Like one moment I'm laughing and then he's like about to choke and die. So that was, I did have an idea that he would probably die in the book, but I thought it was going to happen at the end of the book. So I was surprised. That was a surprising moment for me, because it had been all like good and happy until then. Then going to some of the main sort of talking points. So writing wise, it's a YA. It's supposed to be on the younger side, which you can feel. It's a bit more simplistic, let's say. However, I really enjoy YA books. They're very easy to get through, and even with this, the first 50 pages it felt like in 5 minutes. It was so quick, and in general it was just quick and easy read. I like that. So it's a very good YA book. For the plot in itself feels quite a bit more simplistic. Especially the beginning of the story, where Evangeline stops the wedding and they've all turned to stone, and then she turns to stone, and then she's all of a sudden in the way to the magnificent north. That all felt a bit rushed. I was a bit like, wait, what's happening? I was so confused about the stone thing. I feel like it wasn't explained very much in detail. I was like, wait, why are they in stone? What's happening? The middle portion of the plot felt a bit more, I was more into it. I personally really like the whole thing with the ball and the girls pining for the prince. It felt very, again, nostalgic, reminded me of Cinderella. I liked that part. It was cute. And there isn't too much action or like high stakes, I suppose. I guess the climax of the story is maybe when they go to visit the vampire and Jax gets turned into a vampire and there's some danger there. The camera died again. We're noobs. We don't know what we're doing.
We're rookies.
So going quickly because we don't have a lot of time on the battery. So characters, character development. I think I mentioned those. I liked Evangeline. I liked Apollo. Pacing was fast. The setting is everything in this book. I love the setting, feels and vibes. That's why I wanted to keep reaching for this book, is because it's so vibey, the fairy tale setting, cozy, girly. I love that. And from a Christian perspective, I would say this book is clean. It does not have spice or any graphic descriptions of violence. It does insinuate violent acts, but they're very brief and they're not really described. And the only thing that I may have kind of had a question about is that there is a little bit of tension, and there's a specific scene when Jax has turned into a vampire where he's really hungry and he's sort of pining for Evangeline's neck, and he kind of licks at it a few times. So that I was like, that was not necessary, I don't think. Francesca had to step out just for a second. But yeah, what I was saying was that I think it's overall a clean book, but there is some questionable tension. And as for the magic, it takes very much a back seat in the storyline. It's more like, think of Disney movies where something like Cinderella, where there is a little bit of magic here and there, but it's not like witchcrafty, it's not really used that much. And when it is used, it's mainly used by the villains. There's a very strong sense of good versus evil, and a lot of the evil has to do with the magic rather than, the good people doing a whole bunch of magic. So I think it was fine. Overall star rating, I gave it 4.75. So I loved it. It was one of those books that I just wanted to continue reading. I wanted to be in that world, to the point where when I finished the book, I actually did want to jump into the next book straight away. It was the evening, so I couldn't go to Francesca's to get it, but the next morning I went and I got it because I just really wanted to be back in that world. So I really loved it. Now the 0.75, it's not a 5-star because of the licking scene. It was a bit questionable, that part. I didn't really enjoy that. And yeah, those were my thoughts on the book. And I look forward to reading the next one. I'm already in the process of reading it, and we'll update you on my thoughts in an upcoming video. All right, those were the books, the January books. And apologies, we had some technical difficulties in this video. The camera died not once but twice on us, and it's about to die again. So Sorry for the end bit being a bit rushed, but we're still learning. We need to get a spare battery, clearly. That's our next to do. But I think it was really fun, the first book club, and really nice to step out of our comfort zone when it comes to the types of books we read. I think, I mean, we had some high ratings for the book club. I'm actually surprised.
It was a success. Yeah, definitely.
It was. And really looking forward to hearing your thoughts on these books, if you read any.
Yeah, just go and add them at the comments below.
Yes, please. But now, February books.
February is the month of love.
Why do we say it like that? Love.
I don't know.
But it is. So we thought that it would only be right to be reading some romance books this month.
Yes.
We've both picked a romance book each, and both of these are books that we haven't read. So it's going to be a new read. We're both going to be reading both books.
Yeah.
Both romance. Shall we see what we got?
Yes.
You want to go first?
Oh, yes, I do. Thank you. I love the wrapping aspect of this. It's just like a Christmas gift or something.
Are you gonna guess?
Oh, yeah. It's a big book. You haven't read this either.
No.
Do I know this book?
I'm not sure if you would know the name of it, but you can guess.
I have no idea. Nothing comes to mind. I know nothing about, like, just romance books.
Okay, well.
Emily Henry, you've read them all, right?
No, I haven't read them all.
So is this Emily Henry?
Yes.
Something. Okay. I'm excited for that. I know that her books are good. Which one? I have no idea.
I'll tell you.
Funny Story by Emily Henry.
Yeah, so this is her newest book that was released last year. And it is apparently a good book. We'll see. I've read 3 of her books. I'm not sure if they're shown the shot. I've read Happy Place, Beach Read, and Book Lovers. I still have not read this, and I have not read People We Made on Vacation. What I know is that it's 2 people, and they've both just broken up, and their exes got together. So the 2 of them kind of decide to... I don't know what they decide to do. Do they decide to act that they're together? I'm not sure, actually. But what I do know with Emily Henry is that they are categorized as romance books. However, there's typically other themes involved. It's a bit more lit-fic, like lit-fic / romance. And I've personally really loved her humor. I find her books, like the banter is really great. So let's see if it's good. Let's see if we both like it.
Yeah. Okay, so I didn't have an actual physical book, so yeah, apologies for the form of my of my packaging.
Okay.
So I can just...
Okay, my guess is that it's better than the movies.
Yeah. We'll add it to the screen.
Better than the movies. Add it somewhere here. By Lynn Painter. I know it's a YA.
Yeah.
I know, or is it?
It's supposed to be spice-free.
Yeah, it's spice-free. So again, if you want to join along, you can read either one or both of them. And we're going to be adding the questions for these books in the description down below so that you can kind of follow along those questions if you want. Participate. Yeah. We'll be posting the YouTube video where we review these books at the beginning of March.
Yes, that's right. Okay, so that's it. If you enjoyed this video, if you want to follow along, then hit that subscribe button or the bell button, or you can comment in the comments down below. And yeah, thank you for watching.
Yes, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.